What's going on, guys? Thank you for clicking on this video. If you guys could show your support and hit that subscribe button, that would mean the world. We're on the road to 1,000 right now. We're growing every day, and it's the people like you guys for supporting the channel, so thank you so much. Like I said, if you guys could hit that subscribe button, that would be huge. Also, too, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Cats Dogs Canine, as well as Ryan Tagalamonte at Century 21 Realty. More information will be about them throughout the episode, so stay tuned and keep watching. Hope you guys enjoy, and peace, guys. And the Ausome Show basically is an account that revolves around your son, Shane. Correct?
Yep, that's correct.
13 years old. And you really try to educate everyone around you on autism, the effects of autism and stuff like that. And I wanted to have you on because I myself am starting to educate myself on children and people with autism, because that's so unique to me, because you know, it's so rare in kids, but it is these kids are so smart and they're so gifted. Yeah. So why not have somebody on who's raising a child with autism? And I wanted to educate. So you're my teacher today, and I want to learn a little bit about your son Shane and learn about a bit about autism. So without further ado, what led you to create the Ausome Show?
Okay, so that's a good question. First off, I want to say thank you for everything you do. Thank you for having me here.
Absolutely,
it is a blessing. I mean, we've been trying to talk back and forth for a while now, so we made it happen. So we're going to unpack this. I'm going to go ahead and go into this, give you a little bit of the awesomeness incorporated that comes with being an autism parent. The first thing I would like for everybody to realize is that having autism is not a death sentence, as so many parents and so many people feel like. It is something to grow you individually, and that can be a family of 6, it can be a family of 4, it can be a single mother, it can be a single father. That child is placed in your life for a reason, to grow you. So God gives you that gift. That's the first thing. I was an absent parent, because when I heard that diagnosis, I was like, oh, this is affecting me. What am I going to do? God, why me? This shouldn't be like this. I need a quote unquote normal child. So I started to remove myself from my marriage at that point, and also from my child, because I wanted that, you know, that reset button, you know, the old Nintendo, hit that reset button, go ahead and go in again. I wanted that button, but God had other plans for me. You know, he had a part of the pain that comes with this world and the territory of growing as a man in society. This was a part of that. It was a very intricate part of that. So years and years of just trying to find out who I was as a man. I had to be broken down first, and his love shined. My son Shane's love shined throughout that entire process. Continues to do so today. So when I came to a point of surrender where I just couldn't take life anymore, I didn't want to do anything. I was at the lowest of the low. You know, Shane was there. He was smiling. He was just hugging me. And, you know, I was the best that I could possibly be as a person in his eyes. And it dawned on me, stop reflecting on just me and start reflecting on being the best person that I can for my son, which will help me transform as a man. So that started the Ausome Show. So I started to learn more about autism, learn about my son individually, learn about other men, other women, parents that are going through it. I wanted to be a voice for the everyday person, you know, the average person, the 9 to 5, that just feels like no one is listening to him or her. And I did so with the Ausome Show. Started on online platform in Philadelphia, where I'm from. Had that on online platform, and then I moved out to Hatfield and got married. And you know, my wife was like, "You need to start that back up again. You know, you need to get out there and start doing something in the midst of COVID." So went out there and started doing it, you know. And this platform is a little bit more than just autism. It's about the empowerment of men, of fathers, letting them know the importance of being there, understanding their child, and also going into their communities and being advocates for children on the spectrum, and growing other advocates in their community. So it's a lot. It's a lot that I like to wrap up in the Ausome Show.
Being present, right? And something I realized too is, like, with my experience with kids with autism or disabilities, is like, we have so much going through ourselves, like going through our minds, whether it's you're a parent and you're struggling with everything going on around you, and then there's these kids who just have so much innocence and they have so much going on, and they're just so happy to be there.
Yep.
And it kind of just puts you in like a place where you're like, you know what, why are these issues that I'm worried about 5-10 years from now, why am I not focused on the present? And there's something so beautiful in that. And it's same thing as like, you know, like puppies and stuff like that. They're so innocent, they're just so happy to be there, and it kind of really puts a lot in perspective for you. It makes you realize that, you know, sometimes it's super important to take time to stop and think and realize what's right in front of you, and I think you've done that. So a little bit more about our sponsor for today's episode. Cats Dogs Canine is a one-stop shop for all of your dog needs with training, grooming, boarding, daycare, and more. Located on 35 Mobile Road in Percy, PA, check out Cats Dogs Canine and let them know the LOFT sent you. Looking to capitalize on the upcoming post-summer surge in the real estate market? Ryan Tagalamonte, a local and licensed realtor in Pennsylvania, is here to help. Ryan and his team at Century 21 Veterans in Newtown have recently been rated as a top 3 highest producing Century 21 group in PA. As an investor purchasing opportunities in Philadelphia, Ryan understands the complexities of the market from a consumer's perspective, offering clients help with buying, selling, renting, or investing. Ryan works diligently and efficiently to find your dream home or to sell your current home at top dollar. If you're ready to take a dive into the market, contact Ryan today at 267-344-6914 or find him on Instagram or Facebook at Ryan Tagalamonte Realtor. More information about our sponsors will be linked in the description below, and enjoy the rest of the episode.
Thank you.
So speaking of, I want to learn a little bit about Shane.
Okay.
So he's 13 years old.
13.
And so what are some of the struggles or obstacles that he may go through with suffering with autism? Not suffering, but having autism.
I think it's funny that we always encourage be different, be bold, be you.
Yeah.
But yet when we speak about our awesome children, I like to use the word awesome, hence the awesome show.
I like that.
Versus autism. When we encourage our awesome children to be themselves, society dictates, oh, no, that's a little bit too much. You know, that's a little too different. Yeah. We like to put that label on disabled. You know, that's a marker that needs to go away. These individuals, autistics, awesomeness, awesome children, awesome adults, Shane, one of the biggest things that I don't want him to change is his heart. We look for purity, compassion, empathy, the things that God has bestowed in himself and in us. Is just we're calloused by the world, things that we go through. These children on the spectrum, they thrive off of it. They thrive to make you happy. They thrive for your love. They thrive for your recognition. So I encourage Shane to keep his heart, even though in the world that we exist right now, that might be taken advantage of. But I have to remember also, as a man trying to follow God's heart and trying to do right every single day, that I don't need to pay attention to what's going on in society. Society needs to pay attention to what's going on to me. And when you do that, you change your mindset. And that was all given by Shane. You know, that's what he does every single day. Just the other day, the first day of school, he was so excited. So excited. I don't even think it was the fact that seeing his friends. I think he was just so excited to get into his routine again, to learn, you know, and just be involved in school. So, you know, it's a broader question that can open up. I have so many fears as a parent, but I just want Shane to be Shane, you know, and he's continuing to do so. So there are some aspects, and we can go into it so much more, but if you are listening out here, and you know, parents and loved ones, let your child be awesome. Let them be them. You know?
Because you mentioned the society wants to keep us down, but you also said that your son is super happy-go-lucky. It's like, why would you tone him down? Because at the end of the day, you're not letting him be his most authentic self.
Exactly.
And something I've learned is that society tells us to calm down or to not be ourselves, but when you realize that the world needs more of it, and that if your son still is able to maintain who he is as a person, he's going to be okay in the future because he's authentic and he's himself. And two, how contagious that energy is. It allowed you to your son's energy allowed you to create what you're starting to create now, and it's allowing you to educate other families, parents, children, about this, and without your son's authenticity and his happy-go-luckiness, whereas there are some bad out there that may look to take advantage of it, it led you to what you're doing now and led you to being finally happy with your life and with yourself. So,
exactly. Facts.
you just gotta appreciate that, and I just have the utmost respect for people who I say this a lot on every episode, but I have the utmost respect for people who just want to go out and do what they want to do, right? It's like, because the people that are the people that are telling you not to do something are the ones that are scared to do it themselves.
True.
So it's like, you have to be that example, and kind of what we talked about earlier. Someone has to be the example, right?
True.
Someone's going to see you and be like, you know what? Hey, my son has autism. Maybe we can relate on this, and you just never know where it's going to take you. So, but yeah. So he was diagnosed at birth, correct?
Diagnosed actually at age 3.
Okay.
It's a whole lot of controversy regarding vaccines, but I have to tell you, I feel as though the onset of it was due to a vaccine. That's another show, but yes, at the age of 3, he was diagnosed, and it was something where I guess you could say we felt as his parents that something was different about him.
Okay. And so talk a little about the Ausome show.
Yes, the Ausome show. So I have the Ausome show, and then I have the new nonprofit, Awesomeness Incorporated.
Okay.
Little jab right there. Also looking for sponsors, donations. I'm on Instagram. Follow us 100%. On Facebook. Yeah. But the factor of the Ausome show is a platform where, once again, we're educating men, fathers, those who are supposed to lead their households into understanding themselves in the time of diagnosis, understanding what their family and what their spouse needs, and being able to continue building on the foundation, which is called love, which is their household, their kingdom. I also encourage people on a spiritual aspect. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be able to do anything if it wasn't for God.
Right.
If God didn't break me down to my lowest form and allow me to see him in my son and the love that he gives to my son and my son transfers to me, I wouldn't be here. This wouldn't be my heart. It would just be about me doing me. But God has other plans for me. So I mentor and I speak to other men about the importance of a spiritual grounding. Now, I'm Christian. Yeah. I'm not telling you to be Christian, but you have to have a spiritual grounding in order for you to be an effective leader in your household and also your community. So it's really about uplifting and building men. That really starts with autism, but it expands so much out more. Right. In fact, another plug. Okay. I just got finished writing a 15-day devotional, which I finished, and I will actually have produced relatively soon. So be on the lookout for that. And that just goes into some life stories and matching it with biblical scriptures, and also invoking a question at the end. So what are you going to do? What now? What's your next steps? Yeah. I feel as though I didn't have that in this journey of life. So being a good steward, it's time for me to take all my wisdom, put it into paper, and present it to somebody else so they won't go down the same path. So that's really the Ausome show. Awesomeness Incorporated is, it's going to be a website. That's really what I'm funding right now, self-funding. My wife is helping to fund every event that we do. It's really going to be a website, a one-stop shop for everyone that is looking for something simple like barbers. We can talk about hairdressers for the little girls, things that, average 9 to 5 people who have awesome children are really in the need for. Lawyers, because unfortunately things are not going how we need them to, IEPs, example. So we'll have lawyers that will be able to register with our site and be able to give a service out to people. So we're working on that right now, and I'm excited.
That's exciting.
I'm excited. Yeah, because
exciting stuff. Yeah.
2 years ago, you wouldn't have sat there and thought like, I will be doing this. I mean, first it started with the move out of Philly, then I got married, then I became a volunteer firefighter, then I just graduated EMT school. Now I'm an author of my first book, and that's awesome. I have a website. So it's like it's crazy, God is working, Yeah,
it's crazy how much can change in a year. And I also wanted to go back to where you started. So you mentioned how you were broken down. So what led you to getting out of that place? What got you out of that place?
It was once again, it was God. It was a realization that everything material wise, in this world is nothing that's going to sustain his love. When I started to read the scripture and really dive into the scripture, empathy, compassion, love, pure love, thoughtfulness, I related to, and this is the thing, is that people be like, oh, I can't understand the Bible. That's great. You're not supposed to. What you're supposed to do is you're supposed to take certain books and relate it to your life in order for you to see the message that God wants for you. All those characteristics I just named, I saw it in my son. And in my mind, hey, stop drinking, stop fooling around with random chicks, stop being out there and doing things that's not living in his word, and focus on your son, focus on the blessing that I gave you, and that's what got me on that track,
I think it's super important. When you become a parent, there's a obligation you have to take care of that child, and if you don't have if you're able to be real with yourself and say, listen, I can't do it, then you want to pass to somebody who can. And I was just on the phone with somebody the other day. They adopted a child, and I said, listen, it's not about where the child came from. It's where they're maintaining, where they're staying, and where they grow. So, it's like I had something in my life that happened where I've just been able to gain the utmost respect for parents who are able to just be in someone's life. You know what I mean? Because it is hard, and it's a commitment, especially when you know that I'm sure you've had. You're like, oh, down the line, you're gonna have to go through may struggle with, but like through every parent I've talked to, every family I've seen, there's just something so beautiful in that child that really lights something up in you, which is, I know, who knows if your son was not awesome, what you may have been doing with your life. But now it's like you be able to see life into a whole different perspective. And this is, every single episode I say this, you go down it's so funny. I do mention this every single episode, and it's a quote my grandmom gave me.
Okay, all right.
And it's when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So if you're able to sit and
some of that wisdom, I'm telling you,
that's some wisdom from Grandma Sue.
Grandma, that's what's up. Shout out to Grandma. Give her that wisdom.
She's one of the wisest people I know, and it's like, she told me that quote, and before I never was really able to understand it, because I always thought life was against me. Everything else going on in my life, I always thought it was me. Why am I affected like this? And you realize, you're like, you know what? If I change my tone and I change the way that I see a situation, everything else is going to fall into place, and then it's going to realize and teach you, that what's really important in life, and that your adversity is what makes you into the person you are, and it's what not necessarily, it's breaking you down to build you back up into something greater. And like you said, mention God, Catholic, but I may not be the best Catholic, but I do pride myself on being spiritual.
There you go.
And it's super important to realize that there is a higher power out there, and that everything does happen for a reason.
Facts. It's powerful right now. You mentioned that. I mentioned my religious background, my beliefs, and we're still speaking to everybody out of love. People have to understand that. Religion is labeled just like race. Caucasian, African American.
Absolutely.
None of that is pertinent inside the Bible. So why are we living by those rules?
It's more so how it resonates with you, and what kind of what actions it allows you to take. So that'll lead into my next question. So what biblical story really reached out to you the most, and how does it correlate with your life?
Okay, I'm glad you asked me that, because it's funny too, because I was just about to go into something personal. So the book of Job. Not too many people know about, but really this man was a follower of God, a doer of God. He gave his first, he gave his best, but also God blessed him. Beautiful family, crops and farmland. He was rich. And the devil came along one day and was like, I bet Job ain't really about that life. And God was like, no, my man's about that life. And he's like, you know what? The devil, I'm gonna allow you to do whatever you need to, but at the end of the day, he's going to come back to me. Right. So the devil got the green light, took all his family, killed all his children, his wife, killed his sheep, everything, took everything, gave him leprosy, which was the most horrific disease you can have back in the day. And at the end, his 3 closest friends sat around him because he was in so much pain, so much agony. He just sat. And in those days, he wanted to just be with God, really talk to him. So that's a little bit of story. I encourage everybody to look at that story because you'll resonate with it. So death of my mom. My mom was a single parent for so many years. She raised me until I was 16. She suffered from schizophrenia, bipolar. She kicked me out, didn't believe me. I've been on my own. She was living on the streets for years and years and years. She would pop in and out, come back, get on medication, be good, go right back. So there was years that went by. Finally, she gave me a call from a mental institution and said, I have stage 4 cancer. I have 3 months. I dropped everything. Just went to be by her side every single day for those 3 months. In the midst of me being with her and watching her die every single day, I gained so much life. I gained the importance of being there with my son. I gained the importance of being a man to my wife, to my family, to other men who are a little, I'm not going to say lost, but a little misdirected. I gained the importance of being a leader. What is a leader? Being a man, selfless, not selfish. I gained so much and I lost my mom. So if you would have asked me this question, I probably would start crying, walked off the stage because I get emotional. But the gift that God gave me, he gave me 3 months with that woman who raised me, that love. And we dropped all of everything that she was going to do. We dropped it. And I built a relationship with her stronger in 3 months than I did in the 16 years, which I was in her care. And at the end, she showed me her certificate saying that she gave her life to Christ. And at that moment, I knew that she's in good hands. I don't have to worry about her now. But I also knew that the knowledge she gave to me, a dying woman on her deathbed, is something that I have to continue on until she comes back and she takes me home to God.
So it's crazy. You realize how valuable time is when it's limited. And something I learned recently is that, think of it this way. Your mom, let's say, average parent lives till 75. She's 65 now. You see her twice a year. If you sit and think about that, you're only going to see her 10 more times.
Exactly.
Think about that for a second. Like, you realize that, it's about the time put in. People think that time is fleeting, but in reality, it's what you make of that time while you have it. It's like, and I've been so guilty of this. There are times where I've laid in my bed all day, wasted my time, but it's like when you sit and realize that if you sit by yourself for an hour, how long does that really go? It goes so
fast.
Like, it's just, you just got to realize there's so much you can put into that hour and put into those 24 hours that is really going to change your mind and change you, because you realize when you start doing more, you become more. And you start to, and you may not be the smartest, you may not be the best, but it's like you keep doing that. You keep doing what you want to do. You started this, like, yo, I don't know how to start a nonprofit, but guess what? Had your first event and may have went horrible, and then guess what? Now I know this, now I know that. You're your 5th event in. It's like, oh, this dude looks like he's been doing it for years, and then they see that result, then they don't realize that, no, this is just all hard work, and this is me soaking in all the time that I had. You know what I mean?
And just pouring it out. So you bring that up. We rush and we focus on when the next Jordans are going to come out, when the next iPhone is going to come out.
Thing gonna come
so,
out, right.
Awesome fathers, when are you going to go see your awesome child?
Right.
I know you're scared. I know there are a million things running in your mind. Maybe you and the baby mama ain't getting along. That has nothing to do with that child. Have some urgency in the life of that child. If you walked away, start over. You can always start over. Right. Always start over.
Yeah. So you have an awesome child.
Yes.
There are millions of people out there with awesome children.
Yes.
What advice can you give to a parent who has an awesome child? Because I know it isn't easy. I know there's some ups and downs and battles that go on.
I try to be as real as possible, so I'm trying to choose my words wisely.
This is a loft, bro. People need to hear this shit.
They definitely do need to hear this. All right, first thing is stop whining. This is for the men. Ladies, I'm gonna get to you for a minute, but men, stop whining. I need you to be a man. I need you to take responsibility. I need you to take a minute to cry. And the reason for that is because you don't want to go in life not being able to express emotion to a child that's going to give you so much emotion. You may be oversaturated with it. So get that emotion out. Now I need you to put your big boy pants on, pull them up, lock in, and get it started. And it may not be something that I'm doing. It may just be in your home, but I really need you to connect with your child. Ladies, I need you to emotionally process this. But at the same time, I need you to emotionally process this with your partner. And that goes vice versa for the men too. It is a hard road. It is not going to get easier. But with the ease that's going to come later on down the line of you opening up, recognizing another awesome parent, or even a person that might not be educated in it, is going to be the epiphany of your growth, the epiphany of your heart. And people are going to see this. So continue on, pull up your pants, big boys, get your pants on. Yeah. Ladies, be there. Be transparent, be open, be vulnerable. And the same thing for the men, be vulnerable. Don't let your egos go inside in what you need to do for your family and also yourself and that awesome child. You know, the biggest challenge for us, as you know, men, is egos. We have our ego. We don't want to let it go. We don't want to seem like we're just a beta male versus an alpha male. But if you're reading scriptures, the most prominent alpha male in the world was who? Jesus,
right?
God,
like, he showed his emotion, right?
Exactly, and he showed emotion. So why can't we be like that? We can, but there are certain guidelines that you have to follow.
I think the death of ego is one of the most important things a man can go through, because when someone with an ego, it allows himself, or actually disallows himself, to grow and to learn through their mistakes, and to, most importantly, take care of a child if they do have one.
Facts.
You got to be completely open with them, because they're open to you. They're open with you, and they see you as a role model and an idol just by default. So if you're not able to get yourself into shape and realize that, hey, listen, like, you're not, like, you need to open up with your child, because if you don't open up with them, they're not going to be able to open up with anyone else in the future, because the dad is the person they always look towards for their opinions, their everything. And I do that with my dad too. Like, even with sports, I'm like, hey, yo, dad, you think something about the Sixers? I'm like, hey, yo, dad, I think Simmons is getting traded. He's like, yeah, so now I think he's getting traded. So it's like,
it's like, yo, Pop said it, yo, we good, we all live.
So you got to realize that if you are a parent raising a child, with any sort of with any special child, it is important to realize that your ego does have to go out the window, and you just got to be there for him. And another thing too is you won't realize what kind of experience you'll have. And some people may see you and be like, "Yo, listen, not in a weird way, but I wish my child, you realize you don't want to be, obviously you don't want to be awesome, but it's like, it's like." That's beautiful. You start to learn to respect it, and you're like, I'm kind of jealous of how close that family is.
Exactly.
Because I find you find beauty in the darkest times.
Exactly.
Right? Like,
facts.
And when you're going through something, whether it's same thing with like depression too. Like, it's a big mental health podcast. Like, you go through depression, and it's like you come out on top. Like, you realize, like, pain's always temporary, and the things you go through are always going to be temporary. That feeling, that they call it a feeling for a reason. You feel happy, you feel sad, it's because it's fleeting. And it's like, and when you're sad and you're going through what you're going through, it's like, you realize a month from now, 2 months from now, a few years from now, you're not always going to be that depressed person who doesn't want to be a father, or that depressed person who feels like they're not going to be able to get out. Now you're as happy as ever. You have Marta with you now, and you're happy. You feel like you're fulfilled, and now you're able to find your purpose and fulfill your purpose. You know
exactly.
what I mean?
Facts. 100%. Listen, feelings kill. Feelings kill.
Yeah. It's also important to feel them, though.
Yeah. No, it definitely is. And you know what? We're speaking about mental health, which is a very big thing. Asking parents, like, how are you? What's going on? What difficulties are you facing? Also, parents were just across the board. Anybody. Mental health, mental health, mental health. We live in a world saturated with so many things that can destroy you mentally,
right?
And people don't understand that that old saying goes, the eyes are the gateway to the soul. Well, it's also the gateway to the brain, which transmits signals throughout your body and also affects your heart. So what are you feeding your soul? Are you feeding the things that are on TV? Yes. We live in a real world. It is decrepit out there, for a lack of better words, but you always need a release. Sometimes that release is negative, but more so, that's when it comes to me and you being that positive release. Yo, what's going on, bro? Come on over. Let's chill. let's eat something, man. Just chop it up for a little bit, you know. So it's very, very important.
And I always stress to encourage the conversation, no matter where you're at or what you're doing. You know, it's as long as you're talking about what you're going through and you're talking about the issues going on in your life, you're already healing. You know, because a lot of times people hold them in, and I have my friends who are like, "Hey, I'm going through some shit right now. I think we should hop on an episode of the Loft and talk about it.
Chop it up."
I'm like, listen, dude, it's therapy, because guess what? There's people out there going through the same thing as you. You know what I mean? And that's why it's so nice to. That's why I want to have you on, because it's so important to see that there are parents out there, families out there who may feel like they're in a bad position, but when you realize and sit and be like, listen, my child's awesome, right? So it's like, you know, my kids were probably the smartest one in the room. My kids got so much going on. It's like, you know, you're all right. You know what? I'm all right now.
I'm good.
And speaking of awesome children, so what are some characteristics usually of a child who's autistic?
So you'll hear a couple of keywords: stemming, which is the action, could be flapping of the hands, could be rocking back and forth, could be running lines against a linear motion such as this table, the lining up of certain things. Studies and research actually shows staring. So I used to catch my son staring out the window, like literally, like, and I'm be like, "Hey, Shane," and he wa, "Yes, Daddy," and that's a form of stemming. It's self-regulation. So that's a characteristic. All those that I just mentioned are characteristics as well. But also too, you go into a different area of nonverbal children who cannot speak or speak very limitedly, use a lot of vocal sounds that may scare the public, but people fear what they do not understand, so they need to educate themselves more and more.
Absolutely.
And the awkwardness of conversation. So we talk, eye contact. They lack that, and it's not to be disrespectful. It's just that they fear eye contact as though it's something a little negative, but it's really not. That's going to take the parent, their therapist, to work on that, and that will come with time, because there's times that Shane will be all over the place, and then there's other times I'll be like, "You need to talk to me face to face," and he straightened up and be like, "Okay, Daddy." It is the funniest thing looking at him, but I know he's tried it. And one day when he has to really talk to somebody, he's like, "Yeah, I used to talk to my daddy like that."
See what I say? You know, you look up to your dad. Right?
Exactly. Yeah, so, you know, those are the characteristics. But you can always feel free, and I urge this: feel free for a person off the street. Please choose your words wisely. And when you step to the parent or the caregiver, you say, "Hey, my name is such and such. I would love to know a little bit more about this child." You know, they will respect that. They will educate you about their child and what's going on with them. But also, like I said, just be wise with the words. You know, if there's something that you see, you know, ask about it. You know, "Hey, I noticed that your child doesn't like the texture of sand. Why is that?" "Oh, okay, well, such and such." Or, I haven't seen your child really eat anything else but this. What's the reason why?" You know, there's a lot of things. One of the biggest thing that I'm for is the early detection, early intervention, as they call it. Parents, and this is, I don't want to single out a group of individuals, but I am from the Black and brown community. I've seen it firsthand. Please. Autism prevalence, is needed. Don't go the old school way where, he's going to grow out of that. Don't even worry about that. No, as a mother, as a father, if you feel like there's something not normal, or let's turn that, not
something unique,
something different from your child that you like, yeah, that's a little, I'm not really feeling that. Take them to get evaluated. It's nothing wrong with that. And it's really lacking in the Black and brown community. And I'm going to be blunt about it, because I thought this. I go into a doctor's office. You're sitting there. You have a suit, tie, name tag, PhD, big old desk. You're very polite, though. Unfortunately, because of societal views and things that we went through, I'm scared of you. Why? Because you have that PhD, you have that tie, you have this desk, you have this position.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk to you about my child. I'm already feeling characterized in society as a particular way. Why am I going to put my child through that? That is a you problem, people. We need to get our children seen, evaluated, understood, and then we need to listen on what we need to do on our part. So that means, once again, that ego, that selfish part, we need to put that aside and be like, listen, my name is such and such. I'm an average person. I work an average job. I want you to look at my child and be real with me. And that doctor, if they're a really good doctor and they're really compassionate, which about a good 95% of doctors nowadays really are, they're going to really tell you. And we need to step up about that. Another thing is police interactions, which I teach. I teach police academies or police officers how to interact from the side of law enforcement and to the side of the parents. One thing that I want parents to understand from this is that people are getting killed. It's a bad situation. People are getting killed. A lot of it is communication, different situations. What I urge parents to do is, luckily I have ex-law enforcement, so I see both sides. We need to have accountability on both sides. So this might sound crazy. Parents, let's go down to the police station. Let's place your child into the system so that if there is an incident, the information comes up and it shows this child has a intellectual disability, or this child is known to have autism. Now, what did you do as a parent? You not only secured the future of your child, but you also say, hey, I'm going to take some responsibility and start teaching in my home. Pass.
Right.
Now the responsibility is with you, who I entrust to protect our community. Now it's your turn. So now the officer has no reason. Now they got to think about what they're going to do. Oh, you know what? I need to turn off the lights and sirens. I need to turn down my radio. I need to ask for additional backup. Maybe a female may be more comforting to a child that's on the spectrum. I need to know where some trigger words are. Fight or flight syndrome, which are in our children. They're scared, so they'll begin to run. It's not being disubordinated. It's just they're scared. You know, these are some things, but we need to stop saying, oh, I'm not putting my child in the system because, you know, they're just going to target him. No.
Yeah, now you got to make people aware.
Exactly.
At the least.
Exactly. We have to hold each other accountable, both law enforcement, both in the home. It is very important. And I'll be the one. I'm waiting for somebody below. Is Shane in the system? No. But you know what? Once I have that talk with his mom and I say, yo, you know what? This is something that I feel positive with. I will introduce that with him. I will go with another parent down to the station in order to walk him through this process. I'm waiting for Philadelphia police to actually contact me and be like, yo, we like the work you're doing. Come in and teach our cadets on how to be. That's what I want to do because they need to hear it from a parent. This is what I'm looking for as an officer. You know what? You know,
absolutely. And you're going to be the one that steps up and does it. And
exactly.
You know, radiate that energy, and everyone else sees that. Like, you know what? He's right. You know, Jay's right. You know, so, so is this what the awesome show and Awesomeness Inc. is about?
It is. I mean, we got so many topics. I'm all over the place. I mean, my wife tells me like, yo, stay at court, like one thing, but I'm like, it's so many different doors with this. And it's like so many possibilities to speak out on. And I speak out on every single thing because everybody in this world has a different situation.
Absolutely,
you know?
bro. Absolutely. You know? Yeah. And so that's mainly you can find that on your Instagram and stuff, right? So that's if you want to learn more about it, it'll be Instagram.
It'll be Instagram. So Instagram, The Awesome Show, TheAusomeshow. It's allowed.
I'll have it all linked in the bio. So
it's in there. But also I have a website for The Awesome Show. You can get on there and see a lot of my videos, podcasts, 2 episodes that I've done. But Awesomeness, like I said, is just up and coming, is off the ground. So what we're doing is a lot of grassroots, boots hitting the ground campaigns, doing a lot of events. We just did an event with Councilman Dare Green, whose son is on the spectrum. Shout out to Councilman Green. Autism Play Date, where we were a resource table giving out information, and it was pretty dope. I got to meet a lot of awesome kids, a lot of awesome parents, and they were surprised that somebody like me was really like out there just advocating like that, because it's mostly females, and no disrespect to the females, but we got to step up, man. You know,
honestly, you're kind of lucky. You're one of the only guys because you stick out. Like
I kind of it's actually a lot of fathers. They're scattered. We are all like, I've met people from Australia to UK. I got a lot of good friends over in UK. So there are some awesome fathers out there, but it's not enough, you know. So I do stand out, but when I do stand out, I always bring another father on. Hey, yes, I'm great. great. Okay, cool.
Right.
But this guy right here is doing more than me. Let's focus on him.
Right.
And that's building your community.
100%. So, so that'll all be linked in the description. I always think the camera's there now, but it's right there. So that'll all be linked in the description if you want to learn more about them and the Ausome Show and Awesomeness Inc. So I want to lead off with one last question.
Okay.
So as a father who is an awesome child, what would you say is the most valuable lesson you've learned raising an awesome child?
Wow. It's the first time I actually got stumped. Love is the most expensive thing in this world, but the cheapest thing to give away. Just really chew on that. It's the most expensive thing in this world, but it's the cheapest to give away. I love this Fendi bag. I love this Porsche.
Yeah.
I love this Jag. I love this motorcycle. We'll pay out for that. We go over to Africa. Kids are starving. You know, things going on in Afghanistan. You see soldiers holding babies of people that said, take my child, because if I'm going to die, at least my child will live. That didn't cost anything, but just an extension of their arm. Cheapest thing that you can actually do.
So repeat that quote one more time.
Love.
I need to take this in for a sec.
Love is the most expensive thing, but the cheapest to give. So
that's true.
It's sometimes I come with these quotes and I don't know what it is. It's God talking to me.
It's
experience. It is, man. We gotta love each other.
Yeah.
Every single day we're fighting so many different demons in this world, and it gets scary sometimes, and sometimes you want to cry. I did a quick segment earlier because I seen a video where there was a child in a Costco or a BJ's, and he was on top of the Raptors pushing over TVs, and it was so many people just on their phones.
Yeah, I saw you post that.
And I cried at the end because I'm like, yo, y'all, why? Why? You know, everybody, for the most part in that video, sucked because nobody took the time to say, hey, we need this noise down. We need all these people away. This child is having a stem. He's overstimulated. We need to get, lights down, and I called out everybody. If that's BJ's or Costco, I will train your employees. Y'all suck. If that's Allied Universal, you guys suck. I'm security. That's what I do. I will train y'all. But this situation, everybody sucked out of there.
Yeah.
Just love, man.
That's just more responsibility on that individual, just to be more aware. Listen, I need to show more love, And I think a lot of people forget that, and but there are people out there who do show love. Because they do realize. But for those who don't show love naturally, it may have just been something they went through or how they were raised, and that's on them.
That is.
So, but I have faith in people. I always see the best in people, no matter what.
That's what we're supposed to do.
And you have to, because blindly in a way, because if you don't give up on people, they're not going to give up on themselves. Because a lot of times the people that need it the most, they struggle with finding love within themselves and need someone to push them up. You have those people who believe in themselves and all that stuff, but sometimes some people need an extra push, and I realize that. And once you start you have to let them see what you see in them. Because the second they see that in themselves, it's over. So just keep believing in people and believing in, parents such as yourself and, and the children that you're raising, because, I'm glad I've been able to learn a little bit more about autistic children and stuff like that, So it's what we do here in the Loft, man, to educate.
The Loft is popping, man. The Loft is popping. I had to get up on here, man. And
I'm glad you came on and,
thanks,
were able to educate me.
Yeah. I mean, it was therapeutic for myself. I mean, everybody has a bad day, a bad week. Like I said, that video I posted on my page, you'll see my thoughts if you follow me. This enlightened how I was feeling. Just talking about a lot of different things. So I'm blessed with this.
Pain is temporary.
Oh, yeah.
So it always gets better. And thank you so much, Jay.
Thank you, bro.
Coming on,
I appreciate this, man.
This was fun. We were just chopping up a little bit.
Exactly.
And you can check out Jay and Awesomeness and Autism Inc. There you go. There's my alarm on cue. That's my alarm on cue. But you can check everything out in the description. This is episode 29 of The Loft. I'm Kevin Nichols. That's Jay from Awesomeness.
What's up, guys?
And peace, guys.